He's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him. And it's only if we agree with him.
And then there's this, Musk and his team gaining full access to the Treasury's massive federal payment system. Basically the checkbook for the whole federal government. So, the $6 trillion that goes in all sorts of things, to households and businesses, well, it goes through there. And up until this point, only a small number of career officials have controlled the Treasury's payment systems. That is until this weekend, when a top official left after a standoff with Musk's team, where Team Musk tried to stop some payments. Make no mistake, this is a major coup for Musk.
And our reporting has identified 6 young men. All of our reporting indicates they are between the ages of 19 and 24. They are either recent high school or recent college graduates.
High school
graduates in at least one case, all with ties to either Musk-owned companies or Peter Thiel-owned companies.
Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. We've got our regular Chris Goldsmith runs Task Force Butler, which tracks and holds accountable extremists across the country. Chris, I wanted to talk to you about Elon Musk's interns, because they fall in that age cohort that you have said you're most worried about, the young radicalized extremists who, in this case, have your and my service records, right? They have access to government data, and they have absolutely nothing in the way of clearances. They have nothing in the way of an official mandate. I guess because they're close to Elon Musk, they've been given the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, this is extraordinarily concerning. I mean, it was a big deal when China hacked the OPM and got, your and my military records, everything related to our secret security clearances. That was a big deal. And members of Congress made it so that you and I, at least for the next few years, are going to have, things like free credit monitoring. Not that that's going to do much for us. But now Republican senators seem to be entirely okay with 19-year-old unpaid interns having access to the United States' most sensitive and most important data management systems. And that is, I find myself actually amazed with this one. I'm not often surprised by the antics of Trump and Musk and their followers, but I really truly believed that the idea of plugging in private servers to government systems and having a tremendous government contractor being able to access and basically at will fire anyone he wants from the GSA, like that is not something I saw coming.
I feel like we heard something a few election cycles ago about a private email server that merited congressional inquiries and sunk a certain candidate's presidential campaign. I mean, the level of hypocrisy here is just through the roof.
Yeah. See, what Hillary Clinton did was not criminal. What these young men and Elon Musk are doing right now, this is criminal. To access systems in these ways, when these people are sometimes not even government employees, they're like not even pretending that this is the situation. They are violating the law. Now, while I don't expect the FBI or the DOJ to act on this, if Donald Trump doesn't issue them pardons, I hope that Democrats are willing to prosecute all of these people who are raiding our government's most sensitive and important systems.
Well, you just hit the other point, and you've been sounding the alarm on this for ages. The whole aura of pardons has created not just a feeling of a permission structure, but a legal, actual permission structure to go do whatever the hell you want, to break the law because dad's got your back.
Yeah. Well, and that is not just because of the failed prosecutions against Donald Trump. It's because of SCOTUS. The Supreme Court of the United States, as built and designed by Mitch McConnell and all of the federal courts below it that were shaped by Mitch McConnell over the course of decades, have undermined the rule of law in this country and have allowed Donald Trump to rule as a dictator. Or I should correct myself, have allowed Elon Musk to rule as an unelected dictator, because that's what's happened. Elon Musk is a volunteer. He is not a real government employee, and he is coming in and trying to do things like erasing, or as he says, deleting or throwing into a wood chipper, things as important as USAID, which is preposterous, illegal, and it is something that I hope that the public doesn't feel powerless about, because our democracy is not over, right? I want to encourage people to visit the website 5calls.org. It's the number 5calls.org. There is a script in there right now. You put in your zip code. That helps the system find your 2 senators, your member of Congress. It informs you on the issues. And if you agree with the way that this website is presenting the script, you can just simply read from it. I know a lot of people my age don't make phone calls. I never make phone calls. I text only. But this is important. Our democracy is not over. And we as American citizens need to stop pretending that November every 4 years is the only thing that matters. Every day matters. Every day you should be calling your members of Congress, your senators, and saying, I want this unelected, foreign-born national security threat, Elon Musk, out of my government.
5calls.org, is that the name of the site?
It is.
We're going to put that in the show notes. I want to emphasize how important it is to focus on your reps. There is this tendency out there to go after the most visible senators or representatives. That doesn't work. The way they are motivated is when they get calls from their constituents. That actually scares them. And we've seen that time and again with dangerous legislation that's come up or just stupid ideas. I mean, if you need one data point for the power of outrage, it's how quickly the DoD reversed its decision to erase the Tuskegee Airmen from its training modules for new airmen. Our voice does matter. It does make a difference. In the case of Congress, focus on your own legislators and representatives.
Yeah,
right?
It's the reason why Matt Gaetz is not the Attorney General right now. Matt Gaetz was if Donald Trump got his way, would be the Attorney General right now, and he would be tearing the Department of Justice to shreds. Not that that's not going to happen anyway, but Matt Gaetz was forced to withdraw his nomination because members of the public called their members of Congress, their senators, and they were outraged. And members of Congress, senators, it doesn't matter if yours is Republican, doesn't matter if yours is a MAGA Republican. In fact, if you are a Donald Trump voter or a non-voter who has regrets, your voice is even that more powerful if you're talking to a Republican senator. Because you can say, I either voted for you or I was on the sidelines last time. Next time I won't be. That is power. And I think that more people need to recognize that they, as individual Americans, are not helpless. We can,
100%.
especially collectively, make a difference.
Hey everyone, it's Ken. I need a quick favor. We are launching Valor Media Network, a new YouTube channel to highlight positive role models who will take on the toxic influencers of the so-called manosphere. Think Joe Rogan. We've got some great hosts already lined up. You'll recognize some of them like Jason Kander, Dan Barkoff, and Bobby Jones. And we've got more coming on board soon. Please click on the link below to Valor Media Network's YouTube page and hit that subscribe button. These early signups make all the difference. Thank you so much. I want to go back to these basically kids. I mean, the youngest is 19 years old. I think the age range was 19 to 24. Interns, let's refer to them as interns for Musk companies or Peter Thiel companies who have like swept into these hugely powerful roles. I don't even know if they're named, but I feel like you've got some insight into this weird nexus between the young Silicon Valley tech culture, tech bro culture, and and the extremism, the chat groups, the groypers, things like that. There is a converging, it feels like, that an older generation of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs are probably blindsided by. I mean, when I go out to the Bay Area to fundraise for films and things like that, it's a very different vibe than you're getting now when learning about these young people.
Yeah. Well, we have seen young men influenced by kind of like this Joe Rogan disinformation radicalization pipeline, right? Researchers at Task Force Butler, when these names were announced, we looked them up, and my team found things like their Goodreads history. And if you look at the Goodreads history of some of these individuals, you can see that they started out as pretty progressive. They're smart kids. They cared about things like anti-racism. Some of these are kids of color. But you can see later, as time has gone on, as kind of like the crypto finance bro or meme coin popularity kind of envelop them, they start this rightward shift, and that is something that we see in people who end up becoming neo-Nazis. That is what we see in people who become radicalized, in government, in positions in the military, and start to sympathize with terrorist movements. I'm not saying that these kids are terrorists, but they're going through that same path, that rightward shift that has been facilitated by peddlers of disinformation like Joe Rogan.
Yep. Thanks for that amazing research. I imagine a lot of that is very surreptitious. You keep a lid on it. Is there anything you can share yet? Are there any links people can go to understand that stuff better?
We haven't published anything yet. I don't know if it's worth publishing. We're just beginning to start to talk to journalists about this kind of thing. It is because of their age. I do have concerns about these people being targeted, doxxed, and harassed. Yeah. It's probably already started to happen, and I don't want to jump onto that. But if people want something to read, they should know that I just launched a new Substack called On Offense with Kris Goldsmith. And there I am publishing as often as I can news that's relevant to being an anti-fascist and tips on how everyday Americans, not people who consider themselves activists, even government employees, how they can engage in forming anti-fascist habits legally, safely, and effectively.
Awesome. Can you tell us what else Task Force Butler is up to? If I'm not mistaken, my resolution isn't great, but is that General Butler over your left shoulder?
That is Gangsters of Capitalism by Jonathan Katz. That is the book that was one of the inspirations for us choosing the name Task Force Butler. So I would absolutely recommend people read Gangsters of Capitalism. It is extremely relevant right now because this book is about how Smedley Butler, a United States Marine, he was kind of the General Mattis of this early generation in the 1920s and 30s, right? He was this universally known and well-respected Marine Corps general who came to regret a lot of the things that he did in service, which was ending democracies and setting up banana republics in places, throughout Latin America. Jonathan Katz has been doing a TikTok series of all of the things that Trump is doing now in terms of trying to bring back to life this imperialist past that the United States has in places like Cuba and Panama. So that's a very relevant read that is becoming more relevant every day.
I think the imperial or imperialistic overtones of this presidency are starting to become obvious. The last cover of The Economist lined out Project 2025 and said Project 1897, the imperial presidency. I mean, that's where they want to turn the clock back to. And it's it's the most dangerous moment we've been in, certainly in our lifetime. Talked to Bill Kristol this morning, and he said what is happening right now with the FBI is 10 times more dangerous than Watergate. We're at an inflection point. Thanks for everything you're doing to make Americans aware. We'll put everything in the show notes. Honored to have you on as always, Kris.
Thank you, Ken.